At the turn of 1937-38 years in one of the remote areas of China, in the Biancaral Mountains near Tibet, archaeologists discovered unusual ancient burials. In the sheer rock wall, the holes of the burial crypts were blackened in even rows. The remains found in them seemed very unusual to archaeologists. They were similar to humans, but had enlarged skulls, thin limbs, and reached a length of only 110 to 120 centimeters. Instead of inscriptions and drawings on the walls of the crypts, dots the size of a pea were knocked out, which represented the sun, moon, and constellations with peculiar dotted lines. Another amazing find in these crypts turned out to be stone discs with a diameter of 30 centimeters and a thickness of about 8 millimeters with a small hole in the center. In total, 716 such discs were found. They looked like gramophone records. Paths with small hieroglyphic text spiraled from the central hole to the very edge. A professor from Beijing, some smart, took up the study of mysterious discs. It was found that the stone plates contain cobalt and rarely earth metals in high concentrations, which is not typical for stones. As a result, the professor came to a shocking conclusion. He believed that in the 10th millennium BC, alien spaceships landed in the Biancaral Mountains. Before his death, he managed to publish his report. In it, the scientist claims, in the inscriptions on the discs it is said that the airships of a certain people, called Dropa, descended several times in the mountains of Biancaral. And their visits here have not always been peaceful. After the next landing, the ships could not take off again, and some drops were forced to stay here forever. The most amazing thing is that similar legends have been preserved by other ancient peoples. In ancient Egypt there was a legend about Tepsipi, or the first time, which tells about the heavenly gods who descended to earth and created fertile soil from water and mud. According to legend, they descended from heaven on flying ships and through the noble family of the pharaohs passed laws and wisdom to people. The skull of one of the most mysterious rulers of ancient Egypt, Akhenaten, in the images has an anomalous elongated shape. Their Naton had not only an elongated skull. He also had a long neck, long fingers, wide hips, feminine facial features and other unusual features. Perhaps his appearance revealed the features of the gods who ruled Egypt before the pharaoh. According to the ancient Egyptian historian Manifesto, there were as many as 2 dynasties. Then followed a dynasty of demigods and another, transitional one. According to the observations of scientists, the older the dynasty, the higher its technical achievements were. The tomb of Osiris is considered to be the oldest structure to date. The structure itself is made of monoliths weighing more than 200 tons. And what should be the technical development in order not only to create jewelry precision blocks, but also to deliver them to the place and then put them together. Modern engineers recognize that even today this is impossible. There are many versions about how the pyramids and other megalithic structures were built. Versions with winches, mechanical and hydraulic devices do not stand up to the criticism of engineers. But the idea of working with the gravity of stones explains it wonderfully. Traces, working remnants of this amazing technology have survived to our time. It is only necessary to pay attention to them, study and improve. The stone-cutting technique of the ancient Egyptians also raises no less questions. It is only necessary to evaluate the speed and quality of cutting basalt and granite, which are presented on the found parts. There are also vessels among the finds that have an absolutely smooth surface. Incredibly narrow neck. Specialists, obviously, are not capable of such skill, even today's carvers with modern tools. From this, the researchers conclude that ancient civilizations did not develop from simple to complex, but degraded. Recently, near Cairo, archaeologists discovered a system of underground labyrinths, in which there were several dozen giant sarcophagi weighing almost 100 tons. The processing of the outer surface of these artifacts was carried out with incredible precision, which, according to researchers, is impossible to obtain with manual processing of the stone. Many researchers believe that the legends and myths of the ancient world hold the key to the mysteries of the great civilizations of the past. They are convinced that if the legends about ancient gods and strange creatures that flew from the sky and lived among people are a reality, then this can explain the incredible knowledge of our ancestors in construction technologies, astronomy, medicine, and other sciences. After all, the stellar aliens inevitably had to share their knowledge and technology, at least for the arrangement of their own life. Some of these technological secrets have been preserved to this day and have even been effectively used in the recent past. Some researchers managed to unravel the technologies of ancient builders, repeating the achievements of past civilizations. The sensational find was made in the summer of 2017 in Peru near the famous Plateau Mask. The artifact shocked the world's scientific community. In an ancient cave, archaeologists have discovered a strange mummy with an elongated skull. But the most incredible thing is that the creature has 3 fingers on its hands. Who is it? Scientists come up with a shocking hypothesis. It's not a person. The remains may belong to an ancient alien who came to our planet several millennia ago. What did the research show? The mummy looks like a plaster sculpture. It is sprinkled with some kind of white powder. But as the X-ray and computed tomography showed, this is not a statue. Inside there is a skeleton and the remains of internal organs. With the help of radiocarbon analysis, it was found that the tissues of Munia are at least 2,000 years old. The powder, according to scientists, has embalming properties. A mummy, poured in for safekeeping. The proportions of the body of the mummy are generally human. In the straightened state, her height would be 168 centimeters. A very strange head with an elongated skull. The nose is tiny. No ears. Instead, there is a barely noticeable hole in the skull. The X-rays clearly show the internal organs of a strange creature. And the limbs look completely inhuman. On the hands and feet of the mummy there are 3 very long fingers. Some researchers are sure that even the initial analysis of an unusual mummy is enough to make a sensational statement. The remains of a representative of an extraterrestrial race have been found in Peru. They believe that the anatomical structure itself indicates that this find belongs to a completely different kind of intelligent beings. And although not all tissue DNA tests and other medical scientific tests have yet been completed, many experts have already expressed the opinion that this finding can change modern ideas about the ancient history of human development. But the most amazing thing is that not one, but several mummies were found in the cave. However, Peruvian researchers who have found the remains of unknown creatures are not yet allowing scientists to go there. They explain this by saying that they want to keep the site of the find a secret in order to prevent black archaeologists from looting ancient graves from getting there. For the first time, unusual remains of long-headed creatures were found earlier. The most famous burials of ancient people with elongated skulls were made in Paracas, Peru province. At first, many researchers assumed that such strange head shapes were made by artificial deformation. This is what they do in some wild tribes even now, tightly tying the baby's head with ropes and planks. Juan Navarra, the owner and director of the Historical Museum of Paracas, which houses a collection of 35 elongated skulls, allowed samples from 3 skulls to be taken for genetic examination, which included hair, teeth, cranial bone and skin. As a result of in-depth research, it was revealed that the owners of these remains did not belong to any of the species living on Earth. There are many such finds in South America, that is, skulls. And we understand them perfectly well how to distinguish this skull from an artificial manufactured skull when the baby pulls this skull. But, unfortunately, in South America, in particular in Peru, no one has dated these skulls. That is, it all lies scattered around some small museums, all these skulls, but they have been examined and they are there. Therefore, there is no doubt that these are representatives of a certain line. Variants are random mutation, a joke of nature is excluded. According to scientists, more than 300 skulls found in Paracas force us to admit that 3,000 years ago in southern Peru for a long time there was a large tribe of humanoid creatures biologically unrelated to humans.